ordinary mind is the way. Sesshin, Sesshin word Sesshin, isn't it something like that this mind there is this one mind? Comes together all individuals, and then this one mind is revealed. Sesshin mind is ordinary mind. In fact, there is no other mind than Sesshin mind. Some cloudiness, muddiness that is sweeping this clear mind happens, but it doesn't change the fact that it is still the one mind only. And even muddiness and cloudiness in itself is not that bad thing. If I spill the coffee or something, we just take a rag and we wipe it. There are different things that we can do if we have spilled some mud over our minds. It might take some time to work with that, but it's possible. If we can trust this wisdom that our our ancestors, those who's been practicing this way, this ordinary mind way already a long time around the world, maybe even in other places in this boundless cosmos, who knows. Have told and showed to us that it is possible. It's possible to clear this clear mind. And if we a little bit have a trust for that, sometimes we need a lot of trust. But if we have some trust, it makes it easier when we have difficult times. Now it's day 3, and as usual, almost always, it is more cloudiness than clear blue sky at this point for some people. Some of you have already faced great difficulties. And still, we are here. Those 6 worlds we are going back and forth. We still few words about the Chosu, Zen Master Chosu. He several times he borrowed or borrowed lines from the affirming faith in mind. At least there are a few koans where he is, as I know, is borrowing those lines that in the beginning of the affirming faith in mind, there is this: the great way is not difficult for those who do not pick and choose. We wouldn't be here if we wouldn't have choose to come here. We picked it up, this opportunity. We picked it up, or maybe we choose the cushion we are now sitting on. I choose to wear this, I will say, beautiful colored orkesa. I almost got stuck when I was climbing up here. It's very much picking. Or is it? We also, when we are sleeping, lying on a bed, we do different kind of movements there. It might even look, if someone is watching from the side, that we are picking and choosing. We might take a pillow and put it under our heads because it has fallen out, or we can put a blanket, correct that, or scratch our nose, or it looks almost that we are picking and choosing things. But someone who is in a sleep, of course, those things happens without picking and choosing. What about sleepwalkers? I don't know. Do they choose the path they will take? But maybe it's the same with someone who lives from this ordinary way, who walks this path. Ordinary way is the mind. It just comes from the left and goes to the right. When preferences are cast aside, the way stands clear and undisguised. But even slight distinctions made set earth and heaven far apart. Doubting, self-doubts and things like such. It's even one word is enough. We don't need a big explanation. If it's a one word and it touches right soft spot in us, there is this huge gap, separation. Moment before it was so clear, and suddenly not at all anymore. Heaven is far, far above. It's not just here, it's not here. Clear mind can disappear very quickly. That's why we practice. We simply do this practice because it makes it easier. If you would clearly see the truth, discard opinions pro and con. 」 . 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « 」 « because there is no such thing as right and wrong. It is what it is, and use it the best way you can. Teisho also there is this also the famous thing where he says that why did Bodhidharma came from the West, was someone asking, and he answered something like the cypress tree in the garden. I don't know if he had many successors, this Zen Master Teisho. We know that his lineage died out, but it is not necessarily his fault, and it's not fault at all. It just went that way. But he had one, if I remember correctly, he had one monk who was following him, becoming a successor. Teshikaku is in Japanese his name, and Chui Jiao. He wouldn't recognize this name if I would pronounce it. Chui Jiao. But then one monk came to him, or other teacher or someone, and was praising this master Teisho to his student and successor, and say that your teacher was a remarkable man. I understood that once a cypress tree was a subject of his talk. Is that so? And this student, no. There was no such talk. And then this other person was confused and said, but yes, once he was asked about this Bodhidharma, he answered. My master said no such thing. Please don't disrespect him by saying so. So it seems that this Chui Jiao was a really good successor. He wasn't hanging there of his master's teaching. What is this cypress tree in the garden? Every day is a good day. One thing that comes again and again we are dealing or facing here in Sesshin is our schedule, and is our, of course, our practice. How we put them together, how we do this thing so that we really can, if I may so, benefit of this possibility, opportunity. We have been told many times, be one with your practice, be one what you are doing. Maybe the problem is that because we have heard it so many times, we know it. We are parroting it. Maybe someone who is telling it also is just repeating it. But what does it actually is? It is the cypress tree in the garden. If I am doing zazen, okay, I say something else. For some people, this practice at this point has been difficult. We all have faced some challenging moments, if not now, some previous session. I'm sure all of us have been walking in a very, very dark places, have experienced great difficulties, have went through exactly like monologues in their heads, like a planning ahead how this will be my last session ever. It's a great entertainment to do your packing already while you are in session. In your mind you can go through what you have and put them back in the back and oh my God, this is it, wow, I'm finally free. What is the point, can I ask, to be here and to do this torture? If some Zen teacher like Kodo Sabaki says Zazen is good for nothing, we think we understand that. The world is full of opportunities to do something, to make some sense out of it, to do some good for other people maybe. Okay, it's good if I clean something here, it's okay, it's good. But we are only a handful of people here almost, a little bit more. I could help big crowds of people if I just know how to do it. Anyway, we all have been there and several times maybe. And we have come out also. And we know how that feels. But whatever is this situation, we can always try to practice at least to be as simple as that. No judgment, no taking out any details or adding any new details there. And sometimes when it's very hard, maybe for all of us it doesn't work same way. It's not always best idea maybe to do very, very hard, like push oneself. Maybe that doesn't help always. But for some people, or maybe for all of us, there are times when we truly must conquer. We have to be like knights with our swords. We have to be brave, we have to stand there even if the enemy looks many. If there is a terrible enemy against us, we just have to stay there. And when we do that, there is this energy, there is this power. We can make this. I can face this enemy. And we become joyful to enter this battle. It's a great joy to just throw oneself into this battle. You don't need to think about anymore. You just go there. But if you are not trained, or if you don't have this right attitude, right, then it's better maybe not to go there. You can give the sword to someone else who is more crazy and wants to run there. But instead, what you can do in that time, or we all can do sometime, there are times when it's absolutely, in my mind, also good to try to do as little as possible. We have only few little details if we are doing Sesshin that we have to pay attention to. Of course, one is posture, relaxed posture. That's one thing, relaxed posture. And we can check it again and again, because it will change. And we come back to this relaxed posture. We are not fighting, we are just relaxed. And we have our breath. There is this breath coming in, going out, so to say. And when it's exhale, it starts and it ends. And inhale, it starts. And it ends. There's not so much about it, but the, of course, challenging thing is not to add anything there. And that's why I called this kind of practice to someone. I said, it's kind of a holiday, or breathing holiday, or holiday breathing, breath. It's what a thing, you know. What an opportunity. We don't have so many places and opportunities usually not to do nothing except just what it is, only minimal, like a breathing. We have this posture and then we have our breath. Breath coming out and in. If we can only do that, only that, that's a holiday. It's a secret, but it's holiday. Suddenly we don't need to run here and there. We don't have to convince us. We don't have to know anything, nothing special. We don't need to do anything. We can just disappear there. Just breath and posture. And suddenly, ordinary mind is the way. The world will light up itself. We don't need to fight. And then again, other times we have to fight. Sometimes it's necessary. So that's why it's not that, in my mind, it's not so that everybody should do same when they are practicing. Sometimes someone is doing differently, of course. But this kind of newborn mind, or I don't know, I don't remember how it was when it was like a literally newborn, but every breath, of course, this is newborn. And even we have heard it so billions of times, now is the chance to really make it true. This is the right time and place to do nothing. And we see that it's not always easy. I had this kind of strange metaphor. Let's see if this can make any sense at all. But when we are occupied, when our mind is going here and there and we are judging and analyzing and collecting good words, nice words and interesting sentences and concepts and making little notes here and there, and I had this image that it's do you remember, some of you maybe remember in maybe today you can also buy those things, but when I was a child I sometimes had those plastic like a small models you could buy, and then you took those little particles away from the frame and then you put glue and you made like a, let's say, an aeroplane. And then you painted it and then you had this small model that looked alike, like a real one. But because the one question sometimes, and I mean quite often comes, what I hear sometimes is this, because we have doubts, is this so simple that it's just this? So because we think it's somewhere, there is this some place somewhere, there is this magical something somewhere, there is the treasure hidden somewhere, there is this mystical peak, there is the famous land that some people have been there, some great sages and heroes, or some other famous monks. They know that place, they've been there. But my life is really not that I could go there, not yet, because it's not possible. My mind is quite dull. My mind is not so interesting. There's not so much happening there, or what is happening is just nonsense. I'm an envy person. I hate people, and I have no chance. But there was this plastic frame and those little particles were attached to it. So what if we can say so that if we open this kind of box and we take those little particles that you can build an aeroplane, for example, when they are still attached to this frame, that's like a mind that doesn't believe in itself, that doesn't trust. But those elements and all those particles, they are exactly the same. They are exactly the same than if you take them out. And you can glue them and you can throw them around in your room, or you can use them for something. But as long as they are still attached to this frame, of course they doesn't work same way. It's more stiff. It's not flowing at all. Not yet. But fundamentally, it is this aeroplane. It is exactly the same thing. Nothing is missing. And if it's, you can return it and you get refund. So everybody has the building blocks. And if we see this practice not necessarily like some kind of heroic task that I have to fight my way through. As I said, some people it really works, but not all of us. But if instead I see this like one of the most interesting and exciting hobby, or the most interesting research or examine. So this kind of curiosity, if I can open up this curiosity, open up to this this childlike, curious mind a child can have, spontaneously wanting to do something and knowing more about it. Please, can you show me? How does this work? If we see that this practice is really like working with some interesting airplane, if you like airplanes. I mean, this is interesting. We have this box. We have opened it already. Now we can take those things and see what happens. And the thing in itself sounds boring. You just sit there, relax posture, and exactly be one with your breath. That's interesting. How can you do that? It's not that I am doing it. Then it's not that. I can't be one with my breath. It's impossible. It's just breath. I can't be one with, if I'm walking outdoors or washing dishes, I can't be one with that. It's only when I'm not there. Can you feel the warm water and no thinking, but just how simple it is. And at the same time, it's so amazing. If I'm not adding anything or taking away anything. Easy to say, more difficult to really put in practice. But why I wanted to say these things was simply that we really can see this practice from many perspectives, or we don't have to prove anything. We don't have to prove to someone who is teacher or sitting next to you or yourself or your some historical parents or whatever. You don't need to prove anything. No one is judging. The world in itself is vast and open and boundless. And this world is not judging us. It's we people, we small people who are judging. Trees are, this great cypress tree is not judging. Mokukio is not judging you. Bang, 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 bang. It's doing exactly what you are doing. Being here and acting out freely. We are so lucky ones that we can examine this kind of thing This is so strange thing to examine in this world. It's like a very serious kindergarten. All right. May all beings attain the Buddha way.